So last night we're dancing, right? It was great. It was a great song. It was Bhangra from North India. And my friend, one of my dearest friends in India, he came up after the yoga festival this last year. And in Rishikesh, he was laughing because he's Indian. And I said, what's so funny? He said, do you know what the words are on that Bhangra dance music? And I said, no. And here I'm on the banks of the holy Ganga. There's 700 people, the whole town, everything is like this, namaste. And he said, this Anand laughs like this. When he laughs, he falls over and holds his stomach like he's going to pass out because he laughs so hard. And he was laughing. I said, well, what did it say? And it said, go eat lamb and get drunk. And I was dying. Here I was playing it on the whole. I said, okay, this is it. I want you to give me really good Bhangra music that doesn't, Sufi Bhangra music, music that speaks words of God, of which he did, and that's what I played last night, is Sufi Bhangra. So then I decided, okay, it's time to go into another song, because I like music and rhythm, and okay, time to transcend into the next song, and I knew which one it was going to be, and it froze. The whole machine froze. That's why you were dancing so much, and it was repeating itself. It was frozen, as if there was some Bhangra reincarnation inside of it that was saying, whoa, you're not in control anymore. And so I had to sit with it. I turned the whole thing off, I put it back up, and sometimes it says it freezes, just shut the machine down, go back on. Couldn't get nothing. It wasn't reading anything. And it was like a wild horse just going for it. And I thought, how am I going to get it to stop? Because I couldn't get it to stop, I couldn't get it to start. I thought I could unplug it, I didn't know what to do. And somehow I was able to finish it so we could get to May the Long Time Sun. But now I have to show it here today, so we'll see. At first he said, it's just you're pushing the wrong things, and it's like that. And then when it happened, and even in his presence, so I think we've got, I don't know what, a little, maybe it's a little Joel.
Troll in there.
A troll. Aren't you a country of trolls? Where do trolls originate from? Norway, Scandinavia, that's right. Germany doesn't have trolls. What do you have here? Berries? You have gnomes? Well, I'm a gnome lover. I love gnomes. I pray sometimes that I'll really and truly be able to see a physical gnome. Seriously. I'll tell you one little story as we go into this morning's class, so we awaken our infinite sensitivity. Many of you have read this in my pregnancy book, Bounding the Beautiful Blissful, but I had been not able to conceive for 20 years. So when somebody comes and says, you know, I can't get pregnant, how long have you 6 months? I look at them, wow, 6 months isn't really too long. I mean, God has an infinite plan for reincarnations of souls. And nobody can reincarnate back unless they come location, parents, time. Every single thing is a setup. So just because you want a kid doesn't mean bingo, you know, you're going to get it. Or it may come later. Or, like people say, we didn't expect it, or it wasn't, what's that word that we use? It wasn't scheduled. You know, we were planning to have our baby, and, you know, and then I got pregnant with that. In fact, we were with somebody in Switzerland, and she'd been in the teacher's training with us in Belgium, and she brought her little baby from Bern on the train to see me in Zurich, and she said that same thing. She was on her honeymoon, not planning at all to conceive, and she said it was so amazing, because no, it was before she was married. And she was married and she already was carrying this baby. And in the honeymoon, she figured out that she was pregnant. But all kinds of magic happens when the souls decide to descend. So I had prayed for a child for about 20 years and it didn't happen. It had happened previously when I was quite young and the child had died at 7 months. So I was okay. I could be a mother of all children. But when we married and I was 42, I would close my eyes and silent in the morning, and these funny little things would come across my forehead laughing. They were little men, and they would laugh so hard they'd fall over. Like my friend Anand, he would just bulge over almost like he's going to pass out from laughing so much. And they were laughing and leaning on each other. They're quite round, and so they would just lean on each other and laugh, and their little pointed hats would go back and forth. I remember them so well in their beards, and they told me that I would conceive on May 15th. And this is about November. And I didn't believe them at first, but they kept coming every day. I mean, you just saw that every day, and these guys come every day laughing and, parading across your forehead. Oh, God. So finally, okay, so what time? And they said 9 o'clock at night. That's when our one daughter, was conceived 30 years ago. So time went on, and I didn't know who these guys were because I wasn't really familiar. I knew fairies, I knew angels, I knew that, but I didn't know about gnomes. I grew up in the Midwest. I don't think gnomes live in the Midwest. I think they live more over here, to tell you the truth. So, it was some years, we were in Boston. And there's a street in Boston called, is it Mulberry Street? Is that, who's from Boston? That one little, that goes to the lake. I think it's Mulberry. And I was jogging one morning in Mulberry Street, which is very picturesque and beautiful, very proper, because that's what Boston is. And I looked up at a shop, and it said, the Nome Fairy Shop. So I said, the Nome Fairy Shop. And it was a small building. The storefront wasn't like wide like the other shops. It was quite little, with little steps and a pointed roof. And I kept running. I got to the lake and went back home where Michelle we were teaching in Boston. And I said, I think I saw a Nome Fairy Shop. I think I did. After lunchtime, we have to go back and see if it's really there and what it is. So we went back, and the shopkeeper was there, and he was actually the owner. And he only rode a bicycle, and he was a small person, and he was very exquisite in his character, his habits, his speech. Very unusual fellow. And he, in fact, had started the Gnome Shop some years ago, the Nome Fairy Shop. And it had many figurines of fairies and gnomes. And what was so exquisite is he had built the store himself. And I looked at the baseboards, and there were little doors. There were little arches and little doors that opened. And, of course, as everybody would, you ask, what are the doors? And he says, that's where the gnomes go at night. And I got a book there about gnomes, and I looked at that book, and I looked at all the gnomes. He had big gnomes, little gnomes, all kinds of gnomes. He had even lady gnomes, too. The women are quite something, actually. They had bigger breasts than I've ever seen on the largest woman I've ever met. I mean, they are so big that she could have probably nursed cows and elephants. That's how nurturing she was. I found out that gnomes stay married forever, that they're vegetarians, and they're in family units, and they don't quarrel and they don't fight like trolls. They don't try to take over territory. They live in community and they live underground. And they're really there to serve us. And so while we were there, we've come back several times. I have quite a few gnomes in my house now and gnomes in my garden. Maybe I've attracted real gnomes, I'm not sure, but I've got gnomes every place you look. In my house there's gnomes like this, gnomes like this. They are all different kind of mudras. So then we were in Iceland teaching. And Iceland, is anybody from Iceland here? Anyone been to Iceland? It's quite a magical, exquisite place, like no place I've ever been. And there's so much magic there and mysticism there. And while we were flying in the first time to Iceland, I noticed ever so often, quite close in proximity, were these black circles that you would look down upon, black circles. And it was kind of mystical, but actually when I got down there, I saw they were all trampolines in people's backyards because everybody uses trampolines there and rides on bicycles. But while we were there, we heard a lot of interesting folklore, you might say. And one very true story was the head of Iceland, I think it's the president of Iceland, was a woman. And they were planning the country to build this highway. And people who were talking, the little people there, reported to the president. They went to the president. It's not a big populated country, and they said that the little people, the gnomes, and all the other little people were very displeased that they were building this highway because it was destroying their whole community. And you know what they did? They changed the road. They put it in another place. I mean, how amazing is that? And I thought, I'd like to see that in Washington, D.C. How's it Senator Obama discussing having to change a route for the little people? So there's a lot of good magic still happening. And mysticism, which is a fine line. Mysticism, without mysticism and without magic, what's the point? Everything's so linear. Yogi Bhajan said, 2 and 2 really isn't 4, it's 5. That missing number is kindness. And when you open yourself up to the possibilities of the unknown, your whole life changes. To the magic and to the mystery. Because if you think you have it all figured out, I'll pray for you. Because believe me, God laughs when you think you have it all figured out. Can you tell me when you're going to take your last breath? Can you tell me what you're going to do when you go out? Or now, or anytime? No. It's all a mystery. And it's all magic. And it's all so exciting. Or so scary that you become paranoid. You become so frightened and so fearful of everything. The unknown can never be promised to any of us. So while we're in this body, enjoying these breaths and enjoying this lifetime, how much can we really enjoy it? How much can we cherish it? How exciting can it be? It all depends on your sensitivity. It all depends on how much you're in tune with self, with a capital S. It all depends on really how much you can love. The quality and the quantity of your love. And once that opens, everything is just better. going to go to class and there's going to be a dentist there, I know it. Right then and there, she's going to pull up. No, but there's going to be a dentist, and sure enough, is that dentist here today? No, she's here and she's going to see him on Monday morning. Now, that's magic. That's beauty. That's a whole other experience that is never going to work, and never find a dentist, and on and on and on. So whenever we're met with a challenge, how we meet it is usually our patterning. Oh no, not again. Or yes, a new challenge. It all depends how you meet life. But we've been programmed, some of us not to correct, because our parents weren't programmed to correct either, and it goes in patterning. I like to think of us as yogis and conscious beings as breaking the old patterns, the Piscean stage of life, which went for thousands of years, and flipping it into the Aquarian way of life, the Aquarian way of thinking, the Aquarian way of living. And so, amongst most people still who are not, like those noisy people out there, we can help shift everyone and anyone. And you know it can work. You go in, somebody has a job, you're not very happy with it, you have to purchase something from them or order something at a restaurant, you can make their day by, instead of joining them, oh, he's crabby, I'm just going to get crabby with them and nasty with them. You can say, how can I uplift this person and take them into their heart? And it can be done. And I'm sure many of you do it. And that's just a little thing that we can do to help shift. So as we're moving through to this morning's class, waking us up to our sensitivity and to that connection with the divine. Shall we? You want to wake up?
Yes.
Okay, great. Let's rub our hands together. Thank you so much for coming into our